Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Maple Table. It's Nathaniel here. I had promised in my channel update that I was going to do a initial impressions review of Numenera, which is a system that I had received as part of a package on one of my birthday packages, which was actually a really cool system. I'd seen a lot of good reviews on it, and I was really excited to get my hands on it. So what it came with was a really cool box. So this is the box that the Numenera system came in. On the back here is a bit of a medallion. You can pop that out of the box, and you could wear that if you want, or use it as an in-game piece. So that is the slipcase that the system and the books came in. It was just really well presented. The art, I'm going to say this, the art in these books, phenomenal. Absolutely amazing. If this isn't any indication of what to expect for the system and for what you see inside the books, then you will not be disappointed if you're happy with that. So, Numenera, what is it? The setting is 1 billion years into Earth's future. There's been 8 civilizations that have risen and fallen and disappeared. Their mark left on society and the world in general is still being felt. Their devices that they used to use back in the good old days, the ancient times, are strewn about, and explorers are left to kind of find these relics and use them for whatever function they may have served, or correctly or incorrectly for whatever they're trying to do. The setting is, I really like that idea that ancient civilizations discovering things, using things for not their intended purpose, or trying to figure out what the intended purpose was. It is really, really cool. So the purpose of this game is a little less about monster killing, dungeon delving. Yes, you want to do a lot of that, but it's less about killing the monster. It's more about the exploration and finding things. That makes it a little bit different compared to some of the other systems that I have played with. I haven't had full disclosure, I haven't had a chance to run this game yet, but I would very much like to get a chance to do that. Within this package, there is that I received, there is 2 core rule books. The first one being Numenera Discovery, and that's the one that I'm going to talk about. Numenera Destiny is the second core rule book that also came with this, but I'll save that for another video. I also got within this package a very cool little starter walkthrough character creation guide. So it tells you little hints and character sheets on here, as well as a quick tips reference guide for the GMs running the stories. Just some little cool content. First thing to note about this book, the Discovery book, it is very well laid out. This is heavy. This is a heavy book. It's very well put together. It's very colorful, and that's one thing that I really do enjoy about it. One thing you can see, you get your nice big map at the starting here. Everything is color-coded. So all the different sections on character creation, these are all in brown. And then you have rules about running the game. That's all in kind of this dark blue here. And then you go back to the setting in here, and this is all in kind of a dark red color. And then you have your monsters in this. They give you a bit of a monster manual. These are purple. And then you have the things to do for your relics and the Numenera, as it's called in this setting, the Numenera. This is all blue and what you can do with those. And then they have how to use the rules and different ideas and optimizations of things that you could do throughout here, how to build a story. This is, as I've mentioned, a very story-driven game. And then at the very back, they do have a couple of pre-built campaigns and some options for mutations, and then your character sheets in the back here. And at the back there is, of course, an index, but everything is very well laid out. One thing you may not have seen in the book here, in the margins, if they're referencing anything, there's always a page number to what they're referencing. So it's very easy to find. So if you've read something or forgotten about it, or you missed something and you want to know what they're talking about, everything is very well indexed and categorized, and it is very easy to find stuff. This is something that a lot of systems could really take it more advantage of. And I'm really impressed with the layout and the art and the design of these books. They are very well done. In the Numenera system, there are 3 classes. So you have your, the first book anyways has 3 classes. There is your glaive, which is your warrior class, your nano, which is your mage, and a jack, which is your thief, or jack of all trades. It's kind of where that name comes from. While that might seem limiting at first, it's actually not as bad as you think. There are lots of descriptors and skills that you can pick to flesh out the characters to make them more than just mage, warrior, or thief. You can make them quite a social character. You can make them quite a combat-heavy character. You can make them quite adept in using the Numenera, the magic items, as it were, of the world. So the way you build your character is you use descriptors. So you have your character name. So it goes like this. Descriptors. Name is a blank blank who blanks. Now what I mean by that is to have a fully fleshed out design concept for your character, you would say, for example, Grayson is a charming glaive who masters weaponry. That is one sentence on the character, and each of those descriptor words has skills associated to it. So you would then get your base stats of being a warrior. You would have your stat improvements for charming, so he would obviously be very good in social situations. And the who masters weaponry is a focus for the character, so that is something that they primarily are designed to do, and that gives them more skills in that particular area. And I think that coming up with that one sentence for your whole character is just really neat in my mind. One other thing to mention with this system is that there is no levels. You don't become, a 16th level nano. You don't become a 16th level glaive. What there is there is character tiers. But the game is less about leveling up in the normal sense than it is about discovering items and using those and finding more to solve problems. So this is really where it comes down to your storyteller and your GM to create unique and inventive situations and problems for your characters to solve and explore. Having said that, there are 6 tiers for each character class: the glaive, the nano, and the jack. So they have 6 character tiers, and each of those tiers give that particular class and extra abilities and extra things to do. All right, so let's talk briefly about running the game. So this is more so from the GM perspective. By the book itself, the GM does not roll dice directly. They will if they're maybe consulting some random effect on a table, but for the most part, the GM does not actually roll dice in this game, and I thought that was also a pretty unique take on things. What the GM does, it's their job or task to set the difficulty of what the players are trying to accomplish, be it on a scale of 1 to 10. So, for example, if a player is trying to attack a level 1 creature or trying to climb a wall, the GM is to set the task or the difficulty of that task. If they're attacking a level 1 creature, then the difficulty would be the level of the creature. Here's how that works. When you're doing your difficulty, you would roll your d20, and the number you're trying to get is the difficulty level of the task times 3. So if it's a level 1 creature, in order to hit it, you have to roll 3 or above on your 20-sided die. If you're trying to break down a door, and maybe the GM sets that it's a pretty sturdy door and that's a difficult thing you're trying to do, maybe he sets that at a difficulty 4, which now means you have to roll 12 or higher on your 20-sided dice. And that's how success and tasks are determined. So it's really easy for bookkeeping on the GM part. This system is best suited for, I would say, creative or inventive GMs. If you are somebody who needs a strict, rigid structure, this is not the system for you. This is a very loose system in terms of all the rules, the settings, the skills. They're admittedly in this system, in this book, they do say that they are quite loose, and they want interpretation, they want collaboration between the players and the GM to run the setting. That, for me, is a big draw because that's how I tend to run things. I'm a bit more loose in my structure. I like to do a lot of improv when it comes to running my sessions. So for me, this is a really great system that way. So how do we get experience? Well, the primary way that you get experience in this system is through GM intrusions. So what that is every session, and they say a couple of times a session, the GM is supposed to be intruding on the players. So if the players are trying to do a task, they're trying to pick a lock, we'll say, the GM intrusion would be one of the city guards comes in and is approaching around the corner and is going to maybe potentially see the characters. So when the GM does that, they're obviously making the task more difficult for the players. But the trade-off for the players is they get 2 experience points. 1 point they get to keep for themselves. The second point they have to give to another player for any reason. It could be good role-playing. It could be they helped them out that session, or they came up with a really good idea. So I also really like that. So 1 point they get to keep, 1 point they have to give away. Now, another thing with the GM intrusions is if you have experience left over or haven't spent it on leveling up your character, buying different stats or abilities, you can use your XP to either reroll dice rolls. So if you didn't successfully roll something, you can spend an experience point and reroll and take the better result of those dice, or you can use that experience point to negate the GM intrusion. If you do that, you do not get the 2 experience points. So there's a bit of a give and take. Do you let it happen? And if you do you take the extra experience points? So there's a little bit more choice for the players involved on, and XP becomes a resource management tool. And that, for me, I thought was really, really cool. On the flip side, when it comes to dice rolling for the players, if they roll a 1, so that is your botch or your critical fail, if you will, your GM gets an intrusion, but the players do not get the 2 experience points for that. It's just something bad happens because they rolled poorly on their dice roll. On the flip side, there is more chances for better success than there is for failure. So on a 17, provided that number is a succeed, because obviously when you're going into the higher difficulties, you can't roll, if you have a difficulty 7, you can't roll 21 on a 20-sided dice. So there are abilities that the players have to reduce the difficulty of the task, just to kind of throw that out there. Now, coming back to the dice rolls, if 17 does succeed, usually that would mean they succeed and something good would happen. On a 18, a little bit something better would happen. 19, same, something better happens. And a 20 is when you actually really want to reward the players, so they do extra damage if they're fighting a monster. They disable a security system if they're picking a lock or trying to hack an old computer of some sorts. So again, this is where it comes to your inventive GM and a creative GM to have those narrative effects. And that's something for me, that's a big draw for me. All in all, I would give this system a 4 out of 5 stars. I really like the inventiveness of the system. I really enjoy the idea of exploration being the focus rather than combat, the story being the focus. With the way it's set up, my one concern with it is running high-level characters. So obviously, you'll want to progress, you'll want to have a longer-running story or a longer-running campaign. My concern is at the higher tiers. they even mention this a little bit in the book, saying that if you have a character death and they start a new character, a level 1 character, a tier 1 character, shouldn't be that far behind from a tier 6 character. And without putting it into, having put this into practice, I don't know what that would be like. So that is my one concern with the system in terms of running it. Full disclosure, again, I have not run this system. I would like to. I would like to run this very much with my own gaming group, but I have not had the chance to do that yet. So with that being the way that it is, that I haven't run it, but just reading the rules, going through it, digging into it, definitely a 4 out of 5 stars on this system. So that has been the Maple Table review of Numenera Discovery. Beautiful setting, beautiful system, beautiful books. They feel so good in the hand. It just sounds funny saying that, but they do really feel good. Really excited to get a chance to run this with my group of players, run the setting, explore this, and do kind of what I would like to with this. And yeah, hopefully that explains the system a little bit. And that has been Maple Table's review of Numenera Discovery. Stay tuned, as I will also be doing a secondary review, or another review for Numenera Destiny. That is the second core rulebook that came with this system. I might have some of the same things to say, but it does flesh out this system a little bit more, and we can talk about that in another video. Thanks for stopping by, and have a great day.